Proteins do almost everything in the cells. Importantly, they help to build the other three types of molecules that make up a cell: nucleic acids, carbohydrates, and lipids. Proteins are the chief actors within the cell, carrying out the duties specified by the information encoded in genes. With the exception of certain types of RNA, most other biological molecules are relatively inert elements upon which proteins act. The chief characteristics of proteins that also allows their diverse set of function is their ability to bind other molecules specifically and tightly. Protein-protein interactions also regulate enzymatic activity, control progression through the cell cycle, and allow the assembly of large protein complexes that carry out many closely related reaction with a common biological function. Proteins can also bind to or even be integrated into cell membranes. The ability of binding partners to induce conformational changes in proteins allows this construction of enormously complex signaling networks. Let us examine different types of proteins now. Enzymes are proteins that facilitate and speed up biochemical reactions, which is why they are often referred to as catalysts. Enzymes are usually highly specific and accelerate only one or a few chemical reactions. Enzymes carry out most of the reactions involved in metabolism, as well as manipulating DNA in processes such as DNA replication, DNA repair, and transcription. About 4,000 reactions are known to be catalyzed by enzymes, which otherwise would not take place. These enzymes are essential for chemical processes like digestion and cellular metabolism. Without enzymes, most physiological processes would proceed so slowly or not at all that life could not exist. How do cells receive signals from their environment, and how do they communicate among themselves? It is intuitively obvious that even bacterial cells must be able to sense their environment, such as the presence of nutrients or toxins, if they are to survive. If in addition to being able to receive information from the environment, multicellular organisms must find ways by which their cells can communicate among themselves. Since different cells take on specialized functions in a multicellular organism, they must be able to coordinate activities perfectly, like the musicians in an orchestra performing a complicated piece of music. Cells grow, divide, or differentiate in response to specific signals. They may change shape or migrate to another location. At the physiological level, cells in a multicellular organism must respond to everything from a meal just eaten to injury, threat, or the availability of a mate. They must know when to repair damage to DNA, when to undergo programmed cell death, and even when to regenerate a lost limb. A variety of mechanisms have arisen to ensure that cell-to-cell communication is not only possible, but astonishingly swift, accurate, and reliable. How are signals sent between cells? Like pretty much everything that happens in cells, signaling is dependent on molecular recognition. The basic principle of cell-to-cell signaling is simple. A particular kind of molecule sent by a signaling cell is recognized and bound by a receptor protein or on the surface of the target cell. Many proteins are involved in the process of cell signaling and signal transduction. Some proteins, such as insulin, are extracellular proteins that transmit a signal from the cell in which they were synthesized to other cells in distant tissues. Others are membrane proteins that act as receptors whose main function is to bind a signaling molecule and induce a biochemical response in the cell. Structural proteins confer stiffness and rigidity to otherwise fluid biological components. Most structural proteins are fibrous proteins. For example, collagen and elastin are critical components of connective tissue, such as cartilage, and keratin is found in hard or filamentous structures such as hair, nails, feathers, and some animal shells. Some proteins can also play structural functions. For example, actin and tubulin form long, stiff fibers. They make up the cytoskeleton, which allows the cell to maintain its shape and signs. Proteins that serve structural functions are motor proteins, such as myosin, actin, and nebulin, are capable of generating mechanical forces. These proteins are crucial for the cellular mobility of single-celled organism and the sperm of many multicellular organisms. They also generate the forces exerted by contracting muscles and play essential roles in intracellular transport. Structural proteins play an important role for viruses. Most viral structural proteins are components of the capsid and the envelope of the virus. The genetic material of a virus is stored within the viral protein structure called the capsid. The capsid is a shield that protects the viral nucleic acids from getting degraded by host enzymes. Some storage proteins store amino acid. Storage proteins, amino acids, are used in the embryonic development of animals or plants. Seeds contain high concentrations of storage proteins. Up to 25% of the dry weight of the seed can be composed of storage proteins. The best known storage protein in wheat is a component of gluten. Storage protein serve as biological reserves of metal ions and amino acids used by organisms. They are in plant seeds, egg whites, and milk. Ovalbumin is the main protein found in egg white, making up approximately 55% of the total protein. The function of ovalbumin is unknown, although it is presumed to be a storage protein. Perhaps the most thoroughly studied storage protein is ferritin, which stores iron. Iron is a mineral required by all living things. It is a component of heme, which is found in the transport protein hemoglobin, as well as of cytochromes, molecules taking part in cell metabolism. Free iron in solution, on the other hand, is able to participate in free radical reactions that damage proteins, lipids, and nucleic acids. Therefore, within organisms, in addition to serving as an iron reserve, ferritin provides a safeguard against potentially harmful side effect of iron. Ferritin is able to store and release iron in a controlled fashion. Thanks for watching.